when I came to Canada and I started to look for a job, guess what happened? Whoops, a big whoops. And try to think what these whoops were for me. Why it was like, or what is your experience, what you are experiencing looking for a job, what you are facing, what is your biggest trouble when you are looking for the Canadian job. Whitney, can you please group participants in a few rooms?
Sure.
And I will give you like 3-4 minutes, and please think, what is the biggest problem you have when you are trying to look for a job in Canada? Okay, so who wants to share what whoops have you faced looking for a job in Canada? Is there any volunteer? Don't be shy, please.
Yeah, I can share. I feel that not having Canadian work experience, it's a big barrier, no matter how much experience you have back home in your country. Secondly, even if you're qualified and you have, those degrees and certifications, somehow you feel they don't matter here anymore, and you have to recertify and do some more studies to get the, Canadian educational qualifications, which is a lot of time and effort and money that you have to invest.
Stress.
And stress.
And stress is what we are talking about today. Can I have next slide, please? Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So there are at least two types of stress related to the job search. One type of stress is when we are looking for a job. Then the second one, we are so happy that we landed the interview, but we start to stress how to go through the job interview, and we are we start to stress about it as well. Next slide, please. So that we will focus first on job search and stress. So there are two types of factors which are causing the stress. And as you said, means they are factual and emotional, and one lead to another. So we have the language barrier. No matter where we are from, how good our English is, we have different accents, we have some different vocabulary, and we meet the Canadian English language barrier. Same as you said before, our previous credential or successes are not recognized. Like, same as my case, right? Like my education from my home country or from Europe in general was not much appreciated here. And there's some reasons behind that, simply because in Canada, employers are experienced that education from various countries is different, the Canadian education, and they simply want to understand what we are bringing to the Canadian labor market. Many of us are forced, or many of you are forced to take survival jobs, if you can find any, instead of skilled and dream jobs. And all of you, including myself, have experienced or are experiencing the famous Canadian, no Canadian experience, no Canadian job. Next slide, please. Is this frustrating? Well, it is very frustrating. It really creates emotional burden. We have thoughts and feelings like nobody wants me here. I'm not good enough. What I'm doing here, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do things the Canadian way. And next slide, please. And the most important is that all the emotion you have, all these hurt feelings, lack of confidence, it is normal. It's really normal. And most probably it comes from the lack of practice. Not the lack of practice, your professional practice, but lack of practice in searching for a job, looking for a job. Because can it be that back in your home country, you were a successful person, you never had to look for a job because it was a job looking for you. Or maybe you never need to look for a job. But now you're in the situation that you have to look for a job, and it's a stressful process. So you cannot let stress sabotage your job search. How? So some methods, they can seem pretty obvious to you, but it's really worth to remind them. Simply, you have to see the glass half full. You have to stay focused and motivated. What does it mean? Don't give up. Stay positive, because the job search, in fact, it's like a full-time job. In the moments when you are losing your motivation or your focus on the job search, and again, this bad thoughts come like, what am I doing here? Remind yourself, I'm sorry, what motivated you to come to Canada? Why you are here? Have you done this for your family, for better life, for safety, right? As I said, job search is a full-time job, but when you are working your full-time job, you are taking breaks. You are taking lunch break, you are taking vacation, you have day off. You should take a break from your full-time job search as well. Find some hobby, some new friends. Amazing tool is a Meetup, which is online tool to connect people who have some hobbies, interest, and same cultural background and same language. For example, I know that there is a hiking group for Mandarin-speaking ladies in Calgary. Look for it, because you never know. Reward yourself. It's hard job and stressful job to look for a job. Never take rejections or silence from the recruiters personally. Recruiters get so many applications that they simply quite often don't even look at your application. Improve your online presence to make the recruiter look at your resume, or when they look up for you, they can find some professional information about you. And we will have another webinar dedicated to online presence. Get skilled or schooled or both, and TIES can help you with all the trainings they offer. Again, change your mindset. Don't focus on, I'm so unhappy, I cannot find a job. Look for the positives, such like what you are learning. For example, you're learning how to use better written English to polish your resume. Try temping or internship. What is temping? Temping is temporary jobs. There are like temp agencies who are looking for people to, I'm so sorry, who are looking for temporary employees for 2 weeks, 3 months. And I know tons of stories which ended up in the like really permanent jobs after temping. It's tons from administration to, I would say, hotels, but maybe not today during COVID. But yes, temp agencies, they have plenty of jobs which you can take temporarily, and then you can put on the resume that you already have Canadian experience, right? Network. It's not what you know only, but it's who you know. And you never know who can be your best contact. Maybe it will be your neighbor. Maybe it will be someone from TIES you met, during your classes. It will be someone you can meet on Meetup, or it's someone you met at the grocery store. Focus, again, focus. It's a full-time job. A job search is a full-time job. And I'm saying this as a recruiter. Review your resume. And we will really cover this in very high detail in another webinar, but your resume, it's a key to open the door. right? It has to be perfected. And we'll be talking about this at another occasion. And if nothing works, you can still consider changing the industry. And look at me. I was successful executive in the marketing back in Poland. Like, you know, I was meeting the stars and partying with them, like stars, celebrities, and so on. And I came here and I was Mrs. Nobody. Was it hard? Yes, it was. But I scratched my head. I'm like, what can I use from my previous experience towards my Canadian future life and career? And I think I found the perfect match. I love what I do. I'm passionate about that. And now I can give back to this welcoming Canadian society, and I can volunteer with you today, right? So this is about the job search. The most important, don't stop. What do you think, how many resumes you have to send? How many applications you have sent to get a response or qualifying response? Do you have an idea, anyone? Or do you know when you start think like, yeah, I'm doing something not very well? What is like?
Hi. Hello, this is Juanito. Hi.
Hello, Anita.
Yeah, your question really intrigues me because somehow in the past weeks I looked at my statistics, and if I would be competing in the open job market or those jobs that have been posted, my success rate would have been 30 applications to one job.
Yeah. But how many resumes you sent? How many applications you sent? Since you have statistics.
So like, by the way, quickly, I'm with the TAS. I'm one of the instructors, and I'm not like a new immigrant because I've been here for about 8 years. But going back at those years, since I've been sending out like competing in the market, like the open job market, not the hidden market, because my statistics, the hidden job market is totally different. My statistics would be one successful job for a 30 job application that I've sent out.
So you were pretty lucky.
I suppose I probably worked so hard.
Yeah, but you're pretty lucky because you should start to be like concerned that something is wrong when you send 50 or 100 resumes, right? And again, I really invite you for another resume where we will be covering our webinar, where we'll be covering how to polish, how to perfect your resume. Because especially these days where the market is so competitive, someone needs to mute. So when we have as competitive market as we have nowadays, don't resign, don't give up after 50 or 100 resumes sent. And this will be very important, and we will cover it at another webinar. Your resumes have to be changed and have to match the job posting. And there's a sort of key in Canada where recruiters, again, based on my recruiter experience, most of the recruiters use ATS, which is applicant tracking system, and it's all based on the keywords. Okay, so you will have to work on your resume. But let's go to the next slide and let's start to be happy. Hello, we are having the interview. I'm so happy. I'm calling your mom, my husband, my sister, my old friends. I had my first Canadian interview. And then 5 minutes after is, oh my goodness, I have my first Canadian interview. And here we come to another type of stress, the stress which is related to the interview. Next slide, please. Thank you, Whitney, so much for your help. So, well, what happens when we have stress? We are shaking, we feel discomfortable, we have dry throat, we don't know how to behave. We have like, oh, what am I to do? It's my first Canadian interview. Like, interview in general is stressing, but it's my first Canadian interview, right? So even more stressful. So can we have the next slide? So it's like a few key and general tips how to control the stress during any meeting. And you can like really use it in your like general life, not only during the interview. Rule number one, you will not avoid stress. You will not. You will be stressed, no matter what. But you can control the stress, and you can use the stress to win the job and land to win the job interview and land your job. Because stress can positively motivate you, can help you focus during the interview. You just need to control it. So how to control the stress? One of the factors which increase the level of stress, it's the lack of the information. It's when we don't know things, when we don't know what to expect, and when we don't know how to behave. So prior to the interview, try to gather as many information as possible on the interview process. You can look up in the internet, like, what is the Canadian interview process? Get as many information as you can about the company and the position. Print off the job description and have it with you. And you can highlight the key things on this job posting, and you can refer during the interview to this. It will be like a little cheat sheet for you, but it will, again, will help you to stay focused, okay? Prepare a list of interview questions you expect to be asked and you want to ask. So what can be interview questions? Again, look at the job posting and see what are the key things, the key factors they're looking in the candidate. As it's like someone who has XYZ experience, highlight this on your resume and say, okay, I can say, oh, I have this and this experience, and I'm super successful because I reached this and that, and I give them some example, right? So not only prepare possible questions, be ready for possible questions, but prepare the answer as well, right? And have some questions prepared for the interviewer, because they will always ask you, do you have any questions? And you don't want to have like a panic attack at this moment. And these questions are like, what's your company culture? Why do you like to work here? What is the most important in your organization? If I ask you, what are the 3 most important things about your colleagues? What do you like in your organization? What you dislike? What would you improve? Never ask what you dislike. What would you improve in your organization? And let the interviewer talk, okay? This is like pretty good technique and really shows to the recruiter that you are engaged in the process and you really care about the job. Maybe very basic thing, but choose what you're going to wear beforehand, like a night before. Prepare your clothes. Don't be stressed about what to wear at the interview 5 minutes before that. You have to reduce your stress, not increase your stress. And yes, dressing correctly to the interview is very important, because you are to present yourself, to sell yourself, but you are also to show the recruiter, interviewer, that you respect him and you understand the rules of the Canadian workplace, okay? Plan your interview day. Be sure you are not late. Try to visualize your interview, like stand in front of the mirror and like, again, imagine what type of questions they can ask you, try to answer, like practice, 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 keeping in mind all the time what are the requirements in the job posting, who they are looking for. But be yourself. Don't try to pretend that you are somebody else. Just be yourself. Arrive early, never be late. So you need to schedule your interview wisely. For example, in the morning or before the lunch. If you know that, I don't know, Deer Food is packed at 4 p.m., don't try to have your interview at 4:30 if you have to use Deer Food. Those are simple things and they might seem obvious, but if it comes to the interview, we quite often forget that, again, that looking for a job, it's like full-time job search. Now, looking for a job is like full-time job. So, and the last rule, and please believe me, I witnessed people who did it and it didn't up well. Don't take any relaxants nor drink alcohol. Recruiters are super sensitive to that. Okay. So if we can move to the next slide. So, oh, it shouldn't be moving. So, what's happening here? So on one of the previous slides, we had a few results of stress, and now we will talk how to control it or how to manage it. Based on my own experience, and I believe many of yours as well, one of the most stressful things during any conversation, especially with people whom you do not know, like new people to you, is just to maintain the eye contact. Of course, when you went into the room, you shake the hand with the interviewer and you are supposed to look in his or her eyes. It's discomfort. For many of us, it's discomfort also because of the cultural background. But we are in the Western Hemisphere, we are in Canada, and it's required to look in your interviewer eyes during the interview. And this is a very simple technique, which is presented on this little meme picture. You don't have to look in the interviewer eye. You don't have to. You can look here, in between his eyebrows. But he or she will think that you are looking into his or her eyes. And believe me, it's a huge difference. And just not looking in this person's eyes, just in between and this triangle here, you will see how immediately you are calming down and you're starting to control what you say and how you feel. Looking into someone's eyes, especially when you are like presenting yourself, it's one of the most stressful factors. Okay, so you can practice this with your family or friends and you will see it works. It really does. So we can go to the next slide. Well, show me the person who never experienced that. Sweaty or shaky hands. We have various moments of life. We don't know what stressed you before, what is your like general health condition, but some of us have this like, especially in the nervous moments, sweaty hands. And it creates an extra additional discomfort. Like, how am I to shake my hand with the recruiter when they're like wet and sweaty? I don't feel comfortable. And again, you feel more stressed than you should. It's human things. It happens to everyone, but there are a few techniques you can apply to avoid it. One of the very good tricks or ways is just put like before you go to sleep the night before, just cover your hands with deodorant and let it dry and go to sleep. Prior to the interview, don't use moisturizer. arrive to the meeting early, have enough time to wash your hands with cold water. Okay? Keep some tissue in your pocket just to wipe your hands before you shake your hand with recruiter. You can also carry a small bottle of hand sanitizer, which is like pretty much everyday practice right now. And even if you have sweaty hands, sanitize them before you shake the recruiter hand, if you have like interview in person, right? I can tell you that every recruiter will really appreciate that you care of the comfort, because like it's really important. If you really cannot, if any of these things doesn't work, if you cannot control or help anyhow with the sweaty hands, just carry something in your hands, like suitcase in one hand, I don't know, some documents in the second, like your resume in the second hand, and just like notice, like, oh, I'm sorry, my hands are busy, but hello. We know that now it's COVID, no one is shaking hands, but we hope to go back to normal life, not to new normal, but to normal life. So we will be shaking hands again. And again, putting my recruiter hat on. If you have busy hands, but you say, oh, I'm so sorry, like my hands are busy, but it's such a pleasure to meet you, no one will be offended. They will really welcome this, and they will be not aware that it's a little trick to control your stress of sweat and sweaty hands. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, so sweaty hands is one thing, but shaky hands, which you cannot control, it's another story. I have them almost every time, no matter what. Whenever I have a little bit more of stress, my hands are like trembling. So one of the things I always do when I have like any important meeting, I have a pen in my hand. Grab it firm, but don't play with it. Don't do this thing, because this is annoying. But having a pen, keeping like your hands focused on the pen, it's a really great way to control your shaky hand. The other thing, hold a bottle of water. You can come to the interview with your bottle of water. You can put this on the table, put your hands on the table, on the bottle, and control the shaky hands this way. You don't need any additional stress like, oh my goodness, my hands are so shaky and they can see I'm nervous. Use the simple trick, okay? If you can control it, put your hands firmly on the table to get some support. And this will help. And believe me, after few minutes after you start to talk with the recruiter, your stress will lower and you will forget about, you will not have shaky, sweaty hands, or like your stress level will like really reduce. At least will help you to have some level of comfort during the interview. In the worst case scenario, if you really cannot control, nothing helps, just tell the recruiter, I'm sorry, I'm so stressed. It's my first Canadian interview. Do you mind if I sit on my hands? Right? Because it's better to sit on your hands and have like a posture like that and not think about your shaky hands when you have to focus on the answers during the interview. Okay? And the next slide, please. And we will have some fun here, hopefully. So I don't know if it ever happened to you that when you're stressed, your voice is changing. It's like, oh, speaking like this, I'm like, wow, like you cannot recognize the voice you hear because it's so different than your normal voice, the one you use and the one you speak. Well, it helps with stress. Our throat is getting more tightened and the sound of our voice is changing, which additionally is stressing us during the interview, and we don't need that. So there is few ways to control this weird voice which comes out from your throat. First of all, center. Use the back of the chair, center. Open up your throat and your chest. It will help the air to go through your throat and to sort of go back to your normal voice. Control your breathing. When you have like shaky voice, like, oh, I don't know how to answer this question, just take a deep breath. Or say, even you can say, let me think how to answer your question. Get deep breath to, to control your voice, your breath, and your thoughts as well, and answer. Okay. It's a very good, actually, tip, and many actors are using this one. Probably you've heard, like, when actors who perform in the theaters, they have rehearsals during which they like make various like weird noises, like la, 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 whatever. Do something similar. Go to like some private place, like a washroom. Stick your tongue like that, and try to make some noise. And it will open up the back of your throat, and it will help you to get back your voice, or to get control over your voice. It really works. Okay. And again, if during the interview anything happened, you start to like, your voice starts to shake, you start to have to make like really weird sound, at least you hear it this way, slow down, take a deep breath. It really works. Okay. Because we all experience stress, but the thing is how we control stress. We hope that these few tips we presented you today will give you some inspiration or some help on some like really practical tips. It's our first webinar in this series, so we really would like to kindly ask you to work on a very short survey, which will be presented in the chat window in the second, I believe. So if you can guys go through it quickly, we'll really appreciate this, because this will help us to prepare better webinars for you for the future. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot. No, can you go back? Yeah, I totally forgot about this slide. We have shaky voice, but we can have a dry throat. Well, it's why I'm drinking water all the time. But two very important tips. Spicy food, which you eat before the interview, and the stress creates that your throat will be dry like a desert. And when it's dry, you cannot speak, you are choking. Don't do that. Some hard candy, like the one on the picture, not like chewing gum, don't do chewing gum, and don't do mints. Not any intense flavor which can actually make your throat even be more sensitive. Try some hard candy. Keep it in your mouth discreetly, and use it and have it during the interview, and drink some water. Like every recruiter is prepared to offer you some water. So again, we are going to the slide which was about the survey. So we kindly ask you to go to the survey, which is in the link in the chat window. And any questions?
Aleksandra.
Yes.
Hello, this is Juanito. I like what you said about keeping positive, and also looking at the job search as actually a full-time job. Now, on the other hand, having learned that you are a recruiter, how does the job market look today? And
Uh,
in
yeah.
the benefit of our participants, what types of jobs are you currently trying to fill?
Means I'm currently not working as a recruiter. I'm totally focused on my immigration practice. However, of course, I have a lot of contacts to the recruiting industry. Well, COVID totally changed the labor market in Calgary. It's not the same what we ever experienced before. And this happened when we were already in some oil patch crisis, which even worsened during the COVID. So we all know that the market is bad. It's why we need to be flex and prepared. So on one of our slides, we covered as like, if you are sending your resumes and sending and you cannot see any results, try like a temp jobs or try to find another industry. Maybe it's temporary, maybe it's survival, but you never know how this will end up. And I personally experienced many situations that people starting to work for some firm as temps, temporary employees, and they were offered permanent jobs. So don't be afraid of this solution. We have to be flex these days more than ever.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but even, you know, for temporary jobs, sometimes you find that you know, you're overqualified, and that's why your resume is not considered, because most of the temporary jobs are very, you know, basic kind of jobs.
Correct.
They don't ask for too many, you know, qualifications or experience, but you have loads of qualifications and experience on your resume, which actually, you know, is a negative for that kind. So should we, you know, trim down our resume, and with all those degrees and certifications, we should just hide them?
Yeah, I know it's super hard because, well, we all have our pride, right? We are proud of our achievements, success, education, this and that. And, well, the market here, it's a little bit different. We have to start with something. So, yes, the key thing is if you want to land a job, your resume has to reflect the job posting, has to be redesigned to answer the requirements of the job posting. Just to give you a COVID example, my girlfriend, who is a professional and super experienced massage therapist, during the COVID, she said, well, I cannot be massage therapist because everything is locked down. She applied for a job in a superstore. So from her resume, she removed everything what was related to massage therapist profession, but she remained the part focusing on the client service. And for the 3 months, she was happy cashier at Superstore. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know, like, I totally understand what you say. We feel bad because we have our like achievement and successes, and now we have to step back on the ladder. But I believe it's worth of it, and sometimes you have to make a step back to move on in the future. And I would say this will be like a wrapping up of all of this. We have to do some sacrifices. We have to learn a few new things. We are in a different culture, in the different environment. And we have to learn how to navigate here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Just wanted to ask if it's okay. Can I ask like a quick question as well? So I know part of the stress also is, you know, knowing where to look and knowing where to sort of search for jobs. Do you have any suggestions in terms of like
yes,
you know, keep to look and keep to,
yes,
to
actually,
get an idea?
Yeah, like as you perfectly know, many things is online these days, and we will have another webinar which will be which will cover this question. We will try to show students what are the best websites to look for a job in Canada, or especially in Calgary, how to create your online presence, and how to perfect your online application using keywords, fooling ATS systems a little bit. So it will be very much based and focused on how to look for jobs online and how to perfect your professional online existence, your professional avatar. Any more questions?
A quick question about education.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is looking for really entry level, like office admin or really entry job,
Mm-hmm.
if someone has high education like MBA or not like bachelor degree, do you recommend to put it, or do you recommend not to put MBA, or like?
I would say no.
Yeah. Okay.
MBA, it's very managerial degree. So if you have bachelor's, what I would add, like for example, your English is perfect. So what I would add to your resume, if you have like any English test results or any like computer Microsoft Suite certificates or anything like that, I will scan it together with your resume and make it like one thing, you know, because again, you're showing that you have skills, and for like lower administration positions, it's those skills which matter, not your MBA education, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Thank
No
you.
problem. So I think we are ready to wrap up. Thank you everyone for being with us today, and we hope you like it. Again, it's our first webinar. We will really appreciate your comments about what we can improve, what can we do better. And we are happy to say that there's 3 more webinars in this series. One will be about online job application and online presence. The other one will be about perfecting your resume, like a resume clinic. And the 4th one, I don't remember right now.
We haven't decided, but actually, a good opportunity maybe if you fill the survey, maybe give a comment as to what type of topic would be interesting.
Will be wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Bye.